This is the DJI RS4 Mini, and it actually simplifies a lot of those complex things about a gimbal. It's very budget friendly and it has some really unique features that make it stand out. So let's go ahead and start with balancing a gimbal, which is typically one of the more frustrating parts of owning a gimbal and operating it, because it all just kind of flops around like this. But what's really great about the RS4 Mini is that each axis has these locks. So now you can isolate every single axis as you balance it, which is super handy. Now, another great thing about these locks is actually they're auto locks. So all you have to do is press on the power button once and it unlocks itself so that you're ready to film in no time flat. But if you want to transport it and you don't want to accidentally mess up your motors, you want to protect them, press the power button once again, and now it's all locked up, which is going to protect your gimbal. Now, another great thing about the RS4 Mini is that we have a quick release plate. What this allows us to do is take off the camera, so if we want to get some handheld shots, we can do that without messing up the balancing of our gimbal. But then when you're ready to get back to it, all you have to do is slide it onto the gimbal, lock it down, and we're ready to go. So the first thing that I typically like to do is balance the actual plate. And so this is going to keep it from falling back and forth. So as you can see, it falls backwards. Now, what's great about this gimbal is it has a little adjustment knob, so you can make micro adjustments, and you just basically want it to sit freely like this when it is unlocked. So once that's good, you're gonna lock down that axis. But we're not done. A lot of people forget about this axis. You're gonna turn your camera this way and you'll see it's fallen down, and we don't want that to happen. So we're gonna unlock this axis, and then we're just going to adjust it until it also doesn't flop around on us. You just want to be patient and make sure that you're getting it as balanced as possible. So as you can see, I let it go and it's staying put. That means it's perfect. And now that it's balanced, if I just point it in any direction, it should stay put. That lets you know that it's all good. So I'm going to lock that axis. Now we have the roll axis. So I'm going to unlock it. And as you can see, it falls over. And all you got to do is release the lever, and then you're going to adjust it in the opposite way that it's rolling. Now, one of the things about this gimbal that's really great is that they've applied a Teflon coating to this arm. A lot of times it would get stuck on my other gimbals and it would be really annoying to balance this, but now it's not quite so bad. So you're just gonna keep adjusting it until it stays put. There you go. And then you're gonna lock down that angle. Now, one thing to note about the roll axis is you want the camera to be set up exactly how it's gonna be set up. Make sure there's a battery in it. If you're gonna use the flip screen, make sure the flip screen is out so that the balance is actually correct for how your camera's set up. So this is the last one. A lot of people forget about this one. This is the panning axis. This is what moves your gimbal left to right. And what we're gonna do to test it, unlock it, we just tilt it left. Now you see how it's falling around when you do that? We don't want that to happen. So we're going to move it a little bit, check it again. It's still moving a little bit. So we're gonna keep doing those micro adjustments until it stops moving, even when I tilt it. And then all you do is lock it down and you lock your axis. So once your gimbal is set up and balanced, it's always a great idea to calibrate your gimbal. All you gotta do is click on the little button on the top left of the touchscreen and click Start Calibration. Now the gimbal's gonna kinda shake around. Basically, it's just testing all the different balancing of the motors to make sure that it's all up to snuff and that your gimbal's going to operate at peak performance. And once it's done, just hit confirm, and now your gimbal is going to be perfectly balanced. So now that the gimbal is set up and balanced, let me go ahead and show you guys some gimbal moves that you can do to instantly improve your footage. So the first move I'm gonna show you guys is just a simple pan up from the ground. This is going to create some natural movement, which is great, but it also works really well to establish a new scene or reveal a subject. Now, another gimbal move to consider is the top-down reveal. So this is going to be very similar to the last shot, except we're gonna start from the sky and then reveal our subject. Again, this is a great establishing shot for a scene or to reveal a subject of some kind. So in this case, we have the Griffith Observatory, and I'm going to take the RS4 Mini. We're gonna start up above it, and then all I'm going to do is kind of walk into it as I pan down and reveal the observatory. Now this gimbal move is probably one of the more fun ones. This is called parallax, or you could also call it the Michael Bay shot. But basically all we're going to do is we're going to orbit around our subject and have the background at somewhat of a distance away. This is going to make the background appear to move much faster than your subject. It's going to create a very intriguing shot. I typically like to shoot these in slow motion. However, they do look pretty cool in real time as well. Now here's something that you can apply to any of your gimbal moves to add a little bit of dynamicness to your footage. So in this case here, we're standing in front of the Hollywood sign, and I noticed that this hill is here. So I thought it'd be really cool, instead of, tilting from the ground and revealing, going from the sky, doing a parallax, why don't I just use this foreground element to actually reveal the Hollywood sign? Now, you can do this with foliage, with trees, with signs, with people. It doesn't really matter, but it adds just a little bit of extra spice to your footage. Now, if you want to, on the side here, you do have a little switch so that you can isolate different axes. So right now, all the axes move. So if I tilt down, it'll tilt down, left and right. But if I don't want it to tilt down, because that's just another thing to worry about, I can lock that axis. So now you'll see, as I bend down, the camera is going to stay flat. Now let me just go ahead and show you guys why this gimbal is actually special. So that little camera sensor that's on the top of this gimbal is actually an intelligent tracker. So I'm able to remote control this gimbal from way over here. So I'm just gonna do a little stop hand. The light goes green, and now the gimbal is tracking me. So as I move around, it's going to follow with me. If I wanna pause the tracking, do that hand symbol again, and now I can move around freely and the gimbal's gonna stay in place. As you guys can imagine, this will be particularly useful for solo content creators. So if I didn't have a wonderful camera operator, Jake, and I needed to film a quick talking head real quick, this is going to allow me to do it and make it more dynamic. But not only that, it's going to retain the composition that I had set whenever I entered the frame. So you notice it's actually keeping really good headroom. This is because I have retain composition turned on. So if I move in closer, you notice that it's keeping the composition. And one other hand gesture that this thing is able to do is I can start and stop recording. So now I have this camera so that when I stop recording with you guys over on this camera, flashes red, it thinks about it for a second, and now it's off. So you can toggle on and off recording. So this is actually going to be really great for triggering a particular scene that you want to do. So if I want to move over here, there's no way I can turn on and off the camera and hit record, but now I can just do a little peace sign. And now it's recording on my Lumix camera, and that's without having to actually have someone operate it or without having to mess with it myself. Another key thing about the RS4 Mini is that it's not just great for YouTube style landscape videography, but if you're doing a lot of Instagram content, you can switch this into a vertical mode. This is just going to unlock even more features because content creation, whether you like it or not, has gone very vertical lately. So this is just a clutch feature to have. So with all of that considered, I really do think that if you're just starting out with gimbals, the RS4 Mini is really a great option. You could go with a more traditional gimbal. However, I do think that the tracking features are not just a gimmick. I actually could see myself using this on a regular basis, especially if you're doing content creation of any kind. Now, if you're looking for a gimbal more specifically geared towards mobile videography, definitely go check out my Osmo Mobile 7 video. I'll have a link to it right here. I hope that you all enjoyed. If you did, leave a like. Also, if you have any questions, leave them in the comments. I'm always happy to have a conversation there. See you in the next one. Take it easy, guys.